A few months ago, someone tells me, hey, did you hear that McFarlane is re-releasing Superpowers? They're bringing them back. And I was like, no, I hadn't heard that. And they said, yeah, they're going to bring them back, and McFarlane's going to do figures that we never got before and versions of the other heroes that we never got before. And I was like, cool. So let me know when that happens. And then suddenly they were foisted on Walmart like, surprise! And people were picking them up, and the first question I asked was, how do they scale? Not at all. Okay, so McFarlane brings out these Superpowers figures, and they are totally not in scale with the originals. Now, that's not necessarily a problem. Tribute figures to older vintage lines have been made all the time. In fact, Superpowers had a tribute line with DC Universe, and then they lost the license and McFarlane got it. And then a few years after McFarlane gets the license for DC, he goes in on the Superpowers thing, where DC Universe made them 6 inches tall. McFarlane is like, I'm still going to make them taller, but not that tall. But they're still taller than the vintage. But the appeal of the line is that they're going to be different characters. They're not going to be the same ones over again. I'm going to make the figures we didn't get. If that's supposed to be the call to action for this line for collectors, these are the Superpowers figures you did not get before. Why on earth would you make them a different scale? The moment I heard they weren't the same scale, all of my interest went away. I did not care that they were affordable, that they were lower priced than most action figures made today. I did not care that the artwork and the packaging looked retro and had some of the same Garcia Lopez artwork on it. None of that matters if they don't display properly on a shelf with the originals. None of it. I know I sound like a salty jackass, but I think my logic has a point here. Like if you like McFarlane's stuff and you like DC and you don't have a Superpowers vintage line, then by God, go to your heart's content and just buy them. Like, great. But if your product's mission statement in part is we're making the ones you didn't get and versions of the characters you never saw in this format, then why on earth would you make these bigger than they originally were? I totally understand not putting the mechanisms in there. In fact, given the things that I said in my Superpowers retrospective, I'm all for not having the stupid little gizmos in there. It would inflate the price of the figures exponentially these days, and it's just not necessary. Just having some good displayable, slightly posable figures in that style is fine. I think that's a good move. I'm not going to get into the fact that this first wave of figures, as I found with this one, this Superman right here, they have these stupid plastic tag, whatever you want to call those things, where they put a paper tag on a piece of clothing or something. It's one of those plastic tag clips or whatever. They just punched it right through the cape in the bubble, which is like, who was the idiot that thought that was a good idea? Because now you got a hole in Superman's cape and Batman's and God knows who else in the line that they've come out with. I'll ride right past that. The size problem, completely avoidable, but completely kills any appeal for this line from people who have larger Superpowers collections, who are huge fans of Superpowers and would love to pick up McFarlane's Superpowers line to start filling those gaps and start adding more variety and expanding the line beyond what we got. But the moment you break it with an inexplicably larger scale, and I'm sure there's speculation as to why. I haven't gone into it. I haven't looked it up. I haven't read it. I'm sure some of you fans out there are going to say, oh, well, there was a rights issue and he wanted to avoid copyright on this. I'm spitballing here. That's not based on anything. I'm waiting for it. It still doesn't mean that if you can't walk the walk, then you shouldn't talk the talk. And the talk is these are meant to give you the superpowers figures you never got. But they're going to be taller than all the superpowers figures you already have. I don't see the point. If you like them for what they are and you want to collect them and you got none already, great. If you like them for what they are and you want to collect them and put them on a separate shelf with, from the vintage superpowers you've already got, great, I guess. If you just like spending money, great, I guess. But if you really like Kenner superpowers and you want these to mix with them, this is a zero-sum game. And I have no idea why they designed them this way. Now, if you're asking yourself, well, Michael, why do you have one? It's because a friend of mine really wanted to get my take on this and sent me one that I didn't ask for. So here it is, and I've got it, and this is my answer. As far as a collector of vintage Kenner superpowers goes, this would have been really appealing, but as it stands, literally, it makes no sense.